Representing Trinidad and Tobago is His Excellency Dr. Roger Gopal, who is the High Commissioner of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago.
So thank you all so very much for having me present to you virtually. I want to first start by recognizing Dr. Joshi and Ms. Dipali and the entire team at GIBF for giving me this chance to present to you. However, again, let me give my sincere apologies for my absence due to reasons that truly became out of my control. But nevertheless, I will make the best of this opportunity that I have here today. Doing a PowerPoint presentation virtually is never as exciting as doing one face-to-face. But I will ensure that when we are finished, the information is well delivered to you. I'm very excited to bring to you this presentation on behalf of Trinidad and Tobago because we have lots to offer. I pay greetings to our excellencies who were there earlier today and who may come after me, and I am very sure that they have painted such a glorious picture of the Caribbean and Latin America. But that is what it truly is. It is an amazing area of our world that I surely wish for India to see and experience even more. But my focus now would be on Trinidad and Tobago. So let's begin. Most of you who think about the Caribbean will think about a Caribbean that is filled with beaches, lovely seashores, mountains, coconut trees. If that is the picture that you have in your mind of what the Caribbean is, then you are absolutely correct. That is the Caribbean. Lovely beaches. In fact, you just need to ask Sunil Gavaskar or Lata Mangeshkar, Amitabh Bachchan, and Shah Rukh Khan, who owns the Trinidad and Tobago Night Riders. They will tell you how beautiful Trinidad and Tobago is. But what many people don't know is that Trinidad and Tobago is one of the major Indian diaspora countries of the world. We are an Indian diaspora country just as much as Suriname, Guyana, Mauritius, and Fiji. That photo that you're looking at is actually the only temple built in the sea in the world, and it belongs to Trinidad and Tobago. This murti, thank you for that applaud, thank you. This murti that you see here is not in India. It is actually in Trinidad and Tobago, and it is the tallest Hanuman murti built anywhere outside of India. It stands at 86 feet tall. And to that we say Jai Hanuman. But Trinidad and Tobago never forgot nor left behind its Indian history and legacy. So we celebrate Indian Arrival Day every year as a public holiday. And the Diwali is a festival celebrated by all levels of Trinidad and Tobago as a public holiday, from the level of government down to the layman on the street. Now, why is this important to you? It's because for India, Trinidad and Tobago must not be seen as a distant land. Our civilization shares a common history. Our people share a common history. So when India visits Trinidad and Tobago, you're visiting home away from home. And that is why this is important for us to understand as we now move forward into the economy of Trinidad and Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago is a festive nation, and you can see some of our beautiful women here. But it is more than that. There is a common factor between Trinidad and Tobago and India, and that one common factor is the fact that we both speak English. English is the mother tongue of Trinidad and Tobago. So communication between India and Trinidad was never a problem. And in fact, most of you would be delighted to know that Hindi is actually taught in Trinidad and Tobago even at the primary school level, and Sanskrit. But even though Trinidad and Tobago is a small nation of just 1.4 million people, a fraction of Delhi, do not judge the small size of the country by the power of its economic punch. That is critical for us to note, because countries such as China, United States, UK, and Europe recognize Trinidad and Tobago as being one of the major players in multiple industries across the globe. And some of that I will share with you in a short bit. In terms of our economic strength, the exchange rate, which is a question that I have found myself having to answer quite a lot, they ask, what is the exchange rate between Trinidad and Tobago's dollar and the rupee? Basically, our exchange rate never fluctuates. So it is a managed exchange rate, and you spend 10 rupees to 1 Trinidad and Tobago dollar. But what drives the economy? This is an important diagram. Might be too small for some of you to see, but this is our GDP per capita. Now, according to the United Nations and according to the World Economic Forum, Trinidad and Tobago is a wealthy nation. If we look at the statistics from 2001, and that was during COVID, our GDP per capita measured in US dollars was 17,000 US dollars thereabout. By 2022, we picked up again, and our GDP was at 21,000 plus US dollars per capita. Last year, 2023, it was at 19,000, almost 20,000 US dollars per capita. And it is predicted that by this year, 2024, our GDP will be 20,737 US dollar per capita. This is targeted to increase as we go forward, our GDP per capita, and I'll tell you why. You see, according to the Commonwealth of Nations, not me, not GIBF, but according to the Commonwealth of Nations, 2024, they said that in the Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago has the most active manufacturing sector, benefiting from the successful petroleum industry and free trade zone. Now, there are two things there that I need to mention. Our manufacturing sector is one of the most powerful in the Caribbean, and it makes up almost 19% of our GDP. That is one. But the reason for that is because of our petrochemical sector. We are an energy-based industry, a country. And our free trade zone, I'll just mention one. When you talk about Trinidad and Tobago, you talk about 14 countries that belong to CARICOM, the Caribbean community, which also includes Suriname, Guyana, and Jamaica, my good friends. So it is not just simply looking at Guyana, it is looking at 14 countries, not just Suriname, 14 countries, not just Trinidad and Tobago. You have access to 14 countries in the Caribbean. And from Trinidad and Tobago, you have access to approximately 1 billion people in Central and South America. Now remember I said that our manufacturing sector is one of the strongest in the Caribbean, and this is the reason why. If we look at the reliability of our electricity supply in green, compared to other countries in the region, not calling names, this is where Trinidad and Tobago stands. If you look at the cost of our labor and the cost of utility, which includes electricity and water and telephone, this is where Trinidad and Tobago is, again, compared to some of the other low utility costs in other countries in the Caribbean. So the question is, if you access the market in Trinidad and Tobago, where do you have access to? This map will show you the Caribbean islands, Central and part of South America. That is the market that you access. If you look at the strategic position of Trinidad and Tobago, you will see that one, we are below the hurricane belt, and two, because of our advanced port facilities and airport facilities, we have become a choice location for countries around the world. Now, that is just giving you an idea of what Trinidad and Tobago has been and where we are in terms of our economic strength. What I really want to focus on is what is happening right now and where you fit in to what is taking place in Trinidad and Tobago. Because the question to you, captains of industry, participants, and business leaders, is what does this say to me? How am I benefiting from this? And this is what I want to address now. Look at where Trinidad and Tobago is located. We are just right off Venezuela. Now, this is an important and most critical relationship to discuss at this point in time. As I said earlier on, Trinidad is an energy-based economy. Our location next to Guyana, which has blossomed as also a significant energy-based economy, and Venezuela is an important factor for you, the entrepreneurs. And I'll show you why. In December 2023, Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago signed a 30-year lease, granting an international player, Shell, and Trinidad and Tobago's national gas company the right to produce gas and export it. A 30-year lease. Now, that is significant in terms of the number of years for both Venezuela and Trinidad. But this is really a point that we should really be mindful of. It represents 1 trillion cubic feet of gas in its first phase. This is a huge gas project for both countries. Now, what does it mean? It means for you who might be looking on at our part of the world, you may not be able to participate at the upstream sectors of the industry, but you can definitely be participants in the downstream sectors, such as food preservation in inorganic chemicals, downstream methanol, including plastics, metal processing, including aluminum, downstream ammonia, such as urea fertilizer applications, alternative fuels, such as compressed natural gas and petrochemicals for fuels. These are opportunities for the downstream sector that entrepreneurs across the globe is now coming to Trinidad and Tobago in order to access. In fact, I'll give you an example of how this is happening. In May this year, May 2024, we will have a 25-member delegation from India traveling to Trinidad and Tobago. Who makes up this delegation? 25-member delegation? Manufacturers, people who are in technology, banking and finance, computer software engineers, other forms of service providers. This is important because you see many of the countries in the Caribbean and Latin America isn't just a market that you can sell to. It is a market where you can develop for yourself and to take advantage of those opportunities for your growth and development. I'll share with you another major development that is very recent between Trinidad and Tobago and India. In August 2023, I, on behalf of my government, signed an MOU with India on the India Stack. That is in the area of digital transformation. Now, coming from that MOU, we started working with at least 8 to 9 various stakeholders in India for the development of our digital transformation platform. What does it mean for India? It means that stakeholders in India, like yourselves and others, can benefit from this if you are into exchanging expertise in the area of digital transformation, ICT, and the full works. It means that universities and educational providers can be and are currently involved in training programs. Development of IT solutions. We have individuals from India who is now in Trinidad and Tobago setting up their IT solutions. So opportunities are there and it exists for those who are really serious about zeroing in, focusing in terms of what I can do to take advantage of this particular market and opportunity.